Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see. Was grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. When we've been there 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now am found. Was blind, but now I see.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Jason's, oh, please be seated. Sorry. On behalf of Jason's family, I would like to welcome you and thank you for coming. My name is Deb Chalice, aka Coppertop, or Red, as Jason called me. Actually, he had a few names for me, depending on the day. I'm very honored to have been asked to do this. Auntie Valerie, Kent, and Jason became my second family when I moved with them after graduating high school. We have been through many ups and downs, winds and curves, twists and turns together. We have shared many laughs and many tears, and I am so grateful and blessed to have had them in my life. Friends and family, today we have gathered to remember, celebrate, and honor the beautiful journey of Jason Linder. We also come to celebrate the legacy of love, kindness, and joy that he left behind. We gather here today in grief and love to support Jason's family and one another during this difficult time. Looking around the room today, I see many familiar faces as well as some new ones. This isn't surprising to me, as Jason was a very outgoing person. He never met a stranger. Everyone was always immediately a potential new friend. If you were a kid, he would introduce himself in that Donald Duck voice. This was his signature trademark. He was one of those guys, once you met him, you didn't forget him. I've learned that people will forget what you said and what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. Jason was one of those people who always made people feel loved and welcomed. He was always willing to step up and help people in need. He made everyone feel not just good, but also important and valued. It was amazing to me how he could even make friends on Facebook. I remember making small talk with a gentleman at the Ball Diamond while watching my oldest son play ball here in the city. Jason's name came up. I told him, oh yeah, he's my cousin. And he said to me, well, I never actually met the man, but we have chatted every now and again on Facebook. Jason was born at the Regina General Hospital on September 8, 1969, to Reg and Valerie Linder and little brother to Kent. He attended school at St. Thomas Elementary and continued his education at Belfort Collegiate. He held jobs at Mr. Lube and Bennett Dunlop Ford. In April of 1988, Karen and Jason started dating. Karen was grade 11 and Jason was working at Mr. Lube. Jason and Karen moved to Calgary in 1990, where he worked as a welder. They moved back to Regina in 1993. He had a couple of different jobs before he would begin his career as a heavy-duty mechanic at Fort Garry in February of 1999. Jason and Karen were married in June of 1994 and had 2 sons. Michael was born April 24th, 1998, and Brandon was born December 29th, 2000. Quoting from Michael and Brandon, he was proud to be our dad and would do anything he could to see us succeed. He was the most hardworking man I've ever met, and he never failed to put a smile on people's faces regardless of who you were. Jason is predeceased by his father, Reg, and father-in-law, Leonard Philbrand. He will be lovingly remembered by his wife, Karen, sons Michael and Brandon, his mother, Valerie, brother, Kent, Carrie, fur babies, Diesel and Zoe, mother-in-law, Marilyn, brothers-in-law, David, Debbie, with children, Alista and Clint, and Neil, Lori, as well as numerous other relatives and friends. If we could now, we're going to watch a memorial slideshow that the kids and Karen picked some of their favorite pictures and put together for us.
If I had only known the last time would be the last time, I would have put off all the things I had to do. I would have stayed a little longer, held on a little tighter. Now what I'd give for one more day with you. 'Cause there's a wound here in my heart where something's missing, and they tell me that it's gonna heal with time. But I know you're in a place where all your wounds have been erased, and knowing yours are healed is healing mine. The only scars in heaven that won't belong to me and you. There'll be no such thing as broken, and all the old will be made new. And the thought that makes me smile now, even as the tears fall down, is that the only scars in heaven are on the hands that hold you now. I know the road you walked was anything but easy. You picked up your share of scars along the way. Oh, but now you're standing in the sun. You fought your fight and your race is run. The pain is all a million miles away. The only scars in heaven that won't belong to me and you. There'll be no such thing as broken, and all the old will be made new. And the thought that makes me smile now, even as the tears fall down, is that the only scars in heaven, yeah, are on the hands that hold you now. That hold you now. There's not a day goes by that I don't see you. You live on in all the better parts of me. Until I'm standing with you in the sun, I'll fight this fight and this race I'll run, until I finally see what you can see. The only scars in heaven that won't belong to me and you. There'll be no such thing as broken, and all the old will be made new. And the thought that makes me smile now, and even as the tears fall down, that the only scars in heaven are on the hands that hold you now. When I get where I'm going, on the far side of the sky, the first thing that I'm gonna do is spread my wings and fly. I'm gonna land beside a lion and run my fingers through his mane, or I might find out what it's like to ride a drop of rain. Yeah, when I get where I'm going, tears. I will shed the sins and struggles I have carried all these years, and I'll leave my heart wide open. I will love and have no fear. Yeah, when I get where I'm going, don't cry for me down here. I'm gonna walk with my granddaddy, and he'll match me step for step. And I'll tell him how I've missed him every minute since he left. And then I'll hug his neck. Yeah, when I get where I'm going, there'll be only happy tears. I will shed the sins and struggles I have carried all these years, and I'll leave my heart wide open. I will love and have no fear. Yeah, when I get where I'm going, don't cry for me down here. So much pain and so much darkness in this world we stumble through. All these questions I can't answer, and so much work to do. But when I get where I'm going, and I see my Maker's face, I'll stand forever in the light of His amazing grace. Yeah, when I get where I'm going, there'll be only happy tears. I will love and have no fear.
Oh, when I was asked to do this, I sat for a couple days and wondered, where do I even begin? Jason was my second cousin and the same age as me. I have so many memories of Jason as far back as our early childhood. Sleepovers at Auntie Valerie's and Grandpa and Grandma Linder's. And oh boy, did my sisters and I love it when our city cousins came to visit us at the farm. From fishing, riding motorcycles, chasing and catching baby foxes, chasing cows and fencing, playing donkey, and a favorite family card game that could result more often than not with a broken kitchen table or someone landing in the oven. And of course, our favorites, covering the hole in the loft at the barn with straw and coaxing one of them over the hole and watching them fall through. We also tried to convince them that the steers and pigs were tame, and of course they could ride them. There was certainly never a dull moment. Then there were the teenage party years. Jason had his little Toyota that he cared for like it was a convertible. How that thing never left him stranded on the side of the road, I'll never know. I remember my dad many times just shaking his head. Jason was always looking for an adventure. Often on a Friday, he would be MIA, and by the time Auntie Valerie would start looking for him, he had already made his way to Awoda, about a 2-hour drive from Regina. I remember one time he showed up at our school on a Friday afternoon. He thought it would be a good idea for us to skip school. He snuck in past the secretary and began wandering the hallways, looking for me in each classroom. He did not do a very good job of sneaking in, because he soon got caught by our principal, Mr. Like, and got kicked out. This would not be the last time he would get kicked out of our school. There would be many parties, good times, lots of laughs, and if you knew Jason, well, a few pranks and a bit of storytelling, aka bullshitting. I believe the only thing I never got blamed for was his nasty hangovers. He always blamed my brother-in-law Bob for being a bad influence, which Bob's last name, by the way, is Lemontine. If my memory serves me correctly, this is where he learned to speak Donald Duck in cursive language. Needless to say, Jason became a permanent fixture around Wawota. It is a good job Uncle George had taught him a few things about mechanics. I drove an old orange Pinto that had belonged to my grandpa. That thing burned more oil than gas. He had lots of experience in this department, as his little Toyota also burned more oil than gas. He was always checking the oil for me and making sure we didn't leave the farm without at least a couple extra jugs that we would have to add before coming home. He was never a fan of my driving, nor the way I looked after my vehicles, but I always thought he was ridiculously over the top. Besides adding oil to my old car, it was not uncommon to find us on the side of the road at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, changing a tire after driving somewhere that I probably shouldn't have been. I haven't changed much in that regard, as my husband can attest to that. Jason and Carrie had many conversations about my driving and both agreed how, as they would put it, I drive the shit out of everything. After I graduated high school, I moved to Regina to live with Auntie Valerie, Kent, and Jason. This is where I learned how to drink at least one super big gulp a day. He taught me how to drive in the city. He refused to let me drive even after I had gotten my own car. He had to teach me first. The only time he would agree to take me out driving was early on a Sunday morning when there was no traffic. What the hell? Anyone who knew me knew I was not a morning person. I couldn't wait to go and cruise Albert Street on Friday night with my windows down and the tunes blasting. He would drag my ass out of bed around 6 or 7 in the morning to take me driving. Did I mention he was a little over the top sometimes? Geez, where is his sense for adventure gone? It was a little scary, but we were both fearless. At least I was, him not so much in the passenger seat. After all, what could possibly go wrong? I was a farm girl and had driven everything from a garden tractor to a semi-truck. I could do anything. Let's just say lots of his stories, sometimes about my driving, were a little exaggerated. I just learned to respond with, "But did you die?" He was always giving me shit for not letting my car warm up long enough in the winter, or not scraping all of my windows completely. Or this one. I remember the day he yelled at me for using my brakes while driving across the railroad tracks. He scared me so bad I thought I had pulled out in front of a train or something. I can't even really remember why you shouldn't do that. I asked him who told him that line of bull. He said, "Uncle George." I never did confirm the story, but to this day I always make sure I slow down enough so I never use my brakes while crossing the railroad tracks. Jason and I got along for the most part, but we did have our moments. Jason had inherited the Linder trait of being a bit of a bullshitter. Sometimes I couldn't tell whether he was bullshitting me or telling me the truth. Let me share with you how I found out. I remember one day I had bought some eclairs for dessert after supper. He was already sitting at the table eating. As I was dishing up my supper, I noticed that an eclair was missing. I was sure he had taken it. It was the only logical explanation. As it turned into kind of a heated discussion about what happened to that eclair, he suddenly picked up his bun and whung it at my head, hitting me right between the eyes, and said, "I didn't take your effing eclair." We did not speak for a couple of days, to say the least. We were, however, able to laugh about it a few days later. I never did find out what happened to that eclair. The incident was brought up in conversation a few years later, and he gave that little smirk. So did he or didn't he? Going forward, I knew he was telling me the truth when he said, "Do you want a bun in the head?" While visiting with Auntie Valerie last night, I asked her if there was a story she would like me to share. The first thing she said was the time Jason threw a bun at your head. She said the look on my face was priceless. She reminded me the reason he had gotten so mad was that I had called him a liar. I think this story will go down in the books. She then proceeded to tell Kirkland, my oldest son, what a handful both of us were. One of us was bad enough, but the two of us together just about put her in the loony bin. Family was always important to Jason. When he would come to Awoda, he always made a point of stopping to have tea with my Grandma Marge and a bullshit session with Uncle Phil. I remember lots of Saturday or Sunday mornings going to Auntie Josie's for coffee. She would serve us instant coffee. He would load up that cup with so much sugar twin that there is no way he could possibly taste any coffee. We both hated instant coffee, but we loved our visits with her more. He loved spending time at the farm with Uncle George and Auntie Bernice, fixing and learning mechanics. He loved his trips to 7-Eleven as it meant he could have a visit with Auntie Doreen. He had a special relationship with each one of his cousins, and he had a nickname for all of us as well. Jason adored his mom. The sun rose and set on her, and in Jason's eyes, she could do no wrong. Karen recalls many times he would ask her what she was doing. She would tell him. His reply to her would be, well, my mom doesn't do it like that. Kent shared with me his favorite story of how Jason would dispose of his brown paper bag snacks. Due to his diabetes, Auntie Valerie would prepare special snacks for him, which most of the time included an apple. To avoid teasing from the other kids at school, he would hide the apples and snacks in the play shed out back, causing quite an odor when they would be discovered 2 or 3 weeks later or in the spring. Jason developed a love for gardening as he and his dad had started spending more time after Reg retired. Karen loved roses. Every year on their anniversary, Jason would buy her a rose for every year they were married. They were married for 29 years. He would also buy her 2 bouquets on Mother's Day, one for each son. Each bouquet would have however many years old the boys were. Jason couldn't wait to be a dad. Karen and I were both pregnant with our first at the same time. Kirkland was born in December 97, Michael April 98, Jacob May 99, and Brandon December 2000. Needless to say, it was a very busy household when we all got together. I especially remember the phone call when Michael was born. Happy birthday, Red. It's a bouncing baby boy. Michael had been born on my birthday. One of our most favorite times with the kids was when they were around the ages 10, 11, 12, and 13. Both of our boys' teams were headed to provincials. We had arranged an exhibition game. He was coaching Michael's team in Regina, and we were living in Carlisle. We had decided the game would be in Carlisle, as it would be easier to find a diamond. He didn't quite have enough boys to make the trek, so he threw a jersey on Jacob and Brandon. Well, didn't this cause some excitement? What a ball game that was. It was so fun to watch. I'm not sure who had more fun, Jason or the boys, but if I had to put my money on it, I would say Jason. Not only was Jason a proud dad, he was also a proud baseball coach. He would come up with all kinds of crazy incentives for the kids. Michael shared with me the time that Jason promised the team, if they won the tournament, he would dye his hair and his beard red and blue. They were playing the first place undefeated team and were not expected to win the game, hence why Michael thinks he made the deal with the boys. Lo and behold, the boys won the tournament and Jason held up his end of the bargain. Red hair and blue beard. This was not the only highlight. They also took home a cash prize for the team of $500. 2 years later, he made a similar deal with Michael's team, the Pacers. The boys went undefeated in league but hadn't won a tournament all year. The deal was, if they won the tournament, Jason would have to shave the team logo into the back of his head and dye the logo green. Lo and behold, Jason sported the letter P for the next 6 weeks. You will notice Jason's Rockies hoodie. He called it the best sweater ever. Jason had donated $500 to Brandon's ball team, the Rockies. The team had decided to put the money towards clothing. As a thank you to Jason for the donation and his constant support, the team presented him with a Rockies hoodie. They also made him an honorary Rocky. Jason could not be more proud. He would attend games even when Brandon wasn't playing. He even drove to Weyburn when Brandon wasn't playing. If you missed a game, you could always check out his weekly Rockies review on Facebook. Speaking of, if you are his friend on Facebook, which I'm pretty sure each and every one of you are, I can say with complete certainty there wasn't a post you made that he wasn't the first one to comment. Karen told me she could have buried his phone in the backyard under the shed and he would have still heard his Facebook pinging. He was deaf and couldn't hear anything else, but he would hear that damn phone. Kent referred to him as the meme king. I laughed as Michael mentioned he was the only guy he knew to make a Facebook post and be the first guy to like his own post. And I was reading a few things over this morning. I came across this little quote, and I immediately thought of Jason. When life gives you 100 reasons to break down and cry, show life that you have 1,000,000 reasons to smile and laugh. Stay strong. He always referred to himself as the grumpy old man. He was not a perfect man, nor did he proclaim to be. But he had a heart of gold, and if you were a friend or family, he loved you passionately in his own way. He always did everything his own way. I'd like to invite anyone that would like to come up and say a few words. If you have a story or would like to share a memory. I believe Kent has a few words.
I don't know how low you talk up here. Can anybody hear me? Anyways, my name is Kent Linder. I'm Jason's brother, older brother. That was a beautiful eulogy. Thanks, Debbie. Good afternoon, everybody. I just want to let you know that I was driving up here today and and Thursday too, when we come up here, I told the boys that drove up here and never guessed what came up on the radio outside, just driving down this road here. Sawyer Brown, 6 Days on the Road. That's one of his favorite songs and one of his favorite groups, so I just thought I'd share that with you. I just want to say thanks for joining us today to celebrate the life of an amazing dad, husband, son, brother, and friend. Although Jason and I didn't always agree on everything, I always loved my little brother, and I know he loved me. He was such a great mentor to so many kids he coached over the years. I loved and admired that about him. That falls on how our mom raised us. Thanks, Mom. And after reading so many of his friends and family's posts, I know now that he was even greater person than I ever knew. I love you, little bro. May you find your pain-free place and continue those conversations with Dad you're missing. I love to hear everyone's stories they have of my brother in the other room there. And just a little message for everybody. Thanks again for coming. And try and be kind to everyone, okay? Jay would love that. Thanks.
Not much for social media, but I did take some time to also go through some of the things that people had left for Jason. It left me thinking that, yes, his work here on earth is done. But the family, as we got together Friday night, there was one that really, really stuck out to us, and I'd just like to share it with you. There is a face we will all miss. Rest in peace, my friend. I will surely miss our armchair coaching chats, solving the world's problems with baseball leagues, and always accepting that I was right. Thank you for everything you did to help kids learn an amazing game, and more importantly, the life skills you taught along the way. Rest easy, knowing your legacy left behind is nothing short of honorable, and those who are lucky enough to know you will keep their memories of you alive in their hearts. Love you, buddy. Now get to work on finding me a new prospect for my next run at a title. I need a strong 6'5", 205-pound lefty, so you know what to look for. If he's under 12, that's a 2-beer bonus. That pretty much concludes everything that I have. And as I said before, there's just, we would be here for a long time if I could share with you all of the things that he was. I hope I've done a good job of trying to sum up who he was. If we're sure that there's no one else that would like to come forward. I'd just like to ask you all who will join me now in the Lord's Prayer. So if you just bow your heads, please. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. I believe we'll stand.
All our tears have reached the sea. Part of you will live in me, way down deep inside my heart. The days keep coming without fail. New wind is gonna find your sail. That's where your journey starts. You'll find better love, strong as it ever was, deep as a river runs, warm as the morning sun. Please remember me. Just like the waves down by the shore, we're gonna keep on coming back for more, 'cause we don't ever wanna stop. Out in this brave new world you see, oh, the valleys and the peaks, I can see you on the top. You'll find better love, strong as it ever was, deep as a river runs.
Please join the family in the reception room for lunch and continued fellowship.
Please remember me. Remember me when you're out walking, when snow falls high outside your door, late at night when you're not sleeping, and moonlight falls across your floor.